gxsam11.net, domain name server pointing and eNom Liquidweb. When a domain is registered for me by Liquidweb, I will not be able to make changes to the original records which give the internet audience indication of which name servers on the internet are my name servers. Are the name servers for my domain, gxsam11.net, for example. If I want those records to be changed, I have to create a support ticket with Liquidweb. However, it's possible to indicate a different pair of name servers, like for example on my VPS that I operate, by modifying DNS records for NS on the name server which is already being pointed to. gxsam11.net currently, as of the 10th of July 2014, is registered on my behalf with eNom by Liquidweb. If I do a whois using easy whois, I can see that there's no more mention of netfronts, and that was a challenge to accomplish. I'm gonna clarify some things because all the stuff I just said may sound like just a whole stream of jargon. Okay, let's start with eNom. eNom gets to indicate the name servers for the domain gxsam11.net because eNom ultimately is the one who my domain is registered with. Most or a lot of registrars, and that's a term I use for Liquidweb, Marcaria, netfronts, all of them are registrars. They are people like, I call them a man in the middle. They, for example, like eNom, I am not allowed to directly deal with eNom. I cannot just call them on the phone, tell them to point gxsam11.net's records that specify the name servers to another server that's doing the name server stuff. Okay, I cannot call eNom. The people who can, I refer to them as the registrar. They are the people who I directly deal with when I'm registering a domain or dealing with stuff that pertains to the domain itself, like its name servers. Okay, so now that we got the terminology out of the way, there are some registrars like netfronts or Marcaria who would allow someone like me to go to their web interface for domains and specify a different name server. Therefore, if I set up my virtual private server, which I operate, which is rented to me by Liquidweb, if I decide to make that machine into the name server, and if I was with a different hosting company other than Liquidweb, I would be able to use that interface and directly change the records that eNom controls, the ones that specify the name server. However, with Liquidweb, if I want eNom to have those records specify, let's say, the name server on my VPS, I wouldn't be able to do that directly. I would have to make a support ticket with Liquidweb. And then Liquidweb, because they are a partner with eNom, they would go and do that for me. However, all of this may not be necessary, and actually Liquidweb would prefer that I do it in the way that I'm going to tell you right now, which is I already have DNS zones for the domains that are mine, and there is a web interface on manage.liquidweb.com, and I have access to it, and I can change the DNS records for the NS records, which specify name servers. So if I wanted to use my VPS as the name server, I could just make changes to those DNS records. Now, the only reason I don't like that is because now there's an extra layer, there's an extra name server in the middle. That name server is Liquidweb's name server. Okay? Which is the one that I'm using right now. And there's nothing wrong with that, So I hope this is all clear. I don't think it would help for me to repeat it all over in a different way. I've already said it in 2 different ways now. So if you still don't get it, just keep rewinding this video and watch it over and over again. And what you're looking at here is a support ticket email where me and a Liquidweb technician were hashing it out, trying to get to the bottom of this whole thing because it's kind of complicated.